Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek's Australian Open semifinal match ended hours ago, and I'm still speechless and cannot believe what I saw. But I somehow got to pick my jaw off the floor and talk about how exactly Keys pulled off this shocker of a win and preview her upcoming final against Aryna Sabalenka. Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell. Join us at Christian's Crew, and also so you are notified whenever I post my post-match AL Women's Final recap / analysis. Of course, I got to start off by talking about the match of the year. Yes, it's already earned and secured that title for me already, and it's Madison Keys' incredible 5-7, 6-1, 7-6 win over the world number 2 Iga Swiatek. This was one of the most incredible wins I've ever witnessed. First, Iga was a massive favorite in this one, as she only dropped 14 games en route to the semifinal round. She also held a 4-1 head-to-head record over the American, although most of those meetings were on the clay, which further favors Swiatek. The first set in this one was very interesting, and even though Iga won it, the entire momentum of the match shifted in Keys' favor during the opener. There were 4 breaks of serve to open out the match, and Keys did not hold her serve until 5-2, despite making over 76% of her first serves in, and that was just due to Iga returning phenomenally well, and she timed Keys' first serve so well and got the ball right back on the American quickly and with interest. Iga had a set point at 5-2, but she missed her chance due to an errant backhand down the line. Keys got out of that game to get her first hold of the match, which was massive. That gave her the confidence to hold serve more, which only boosted her level higher as it made her more consistent with her power. Swiatek's level subsequently dipped a little bit after she missed out on that chance to close the set out at 6-2. I thought she would run away with the match when she was up that 5-2 lead, but I simply underestimated Keys' fight, which was the main reason really why she won this match. Maddie breaking Iga right off the bat in the second set really set the tone for that second set. Keys did well to get the returns back hard and deep in the middle to Iga, and she did this really well throughout the entire match. But Keys consolidating that first hold after she broke Iga to open the second set was perhaps even more important than the break itself. She came back from love 30 down in that game, and she dug out with some very solid points and great serving. Maddie improved her depth of shot a lot in the second set, which changed the entire court dynamics and how the points were played. Iga was not able to dictate and move Maddie as much with her forehand, and I mean, it's hard to do anything when your opponent is hitting shots like this. When Keys went up a double break in the second set, the match was firmly in her grasp and in her control, and it was on her racket really, and she took the racket out of Iga's hands. Maddie served bigger, and also she returned better, which totally rattled Swiatek, who really started to misfire badly on that forehand side, which she often does in the pressure moments against big hitters. Iga went off the court, of course, to change her kit after she lost the second set, and I gotta highlight this funny moment though. The umpire, she called time, and Iga was still doing shadow swings, and I'm gonna give her a little bit of grace because the music was still going on in the stadium, but I found it funny, especially because the look that Maddie gave her. But anyways, during these types of matches, Iga typically loses it a little bit after she drops like a set, the second set. She falls behind an early deficit in the third set, and then she tries to claw her way back at the end like she did against Naomi Osaka in the Roland Garros second round from last year. But that was not the case, of course, here. Iga, she saved a break point at 2-1, which was big for her, and she looked more positive, and I thought the momentum would shift in her favor, and she turned it around here, especially when Iga had a break back point at 2-all, but Maddie saved it with a gutsy point, and that was the theme of the entire decider, just Keys being clutch whenever she faced big holes and deficits. Maddie had 2 looks though at getting the first break of the decider at 4-3, 15-40, and Iga, she saved the first one with just a solid serve wide, but the second one is where Maddie will kick herself for. She netted a routine backhand. Iga had another opportunity for a boomerang break at 4-all when she went up love 40 on Keys' serve, and a lot of people know of the infamous Kenin hold where Sofia Kenin held, and she rode off like 5 straight points off of winners at 2-all love 40 in the final in 2020 against Garbiñe Muguruza. This right here, I'll frame it as the Keys hold. It wasn't necessarily as flashy or impressive as Kenin's, but it still was great as she really dug deep from the depths of despair to get this hold. Keys saved the first 3 break points, 1 with the winner and then 2 with forced forehand errors on Swiatek's side. Swiatek then had another break point, which Maddie erased with an unreturnable serve. Keys then closed the game out with 2 back-to-back forehand winners. Then the following game, it was Iga's turn to get herself out of trouble as she came within 2 points of defeat, being down 15-30 at at 4-5, but she ultimately held. Iga then finally broke Maddie's serve at 5-all to serve for the match, and she held her one and only match point at 6-5, 40-30. Keys saved it with a solid return deep down the middle to draw the Swiatek backhand error. Maddie ultimately broke, and it sent us into a 10-point tiebreaker, which also had its fair share of roller coasters. Iga had 6-4 and 7-5 leads, but Keys was just unrelenting. Maddie came up with massive down-the-line winners to get herself out of trouble yet again. And when she was down 7-8, Keys came up with two massive serves to get her first match point, which is really, of course, all she needed. Before I praise Maddie, I, of course, got to talk about Iga. I think this is going to go down as one of Iga's toughest losses in her career thus far. She lost the opportunity, of course, to make another Slam final, and she has not made a final period since Roland Garros, which she won last year. This would have been her first non-Roland Garros final since the 2022 US Open. And also, Iga missed out on an opportunity to regain the #1 ranking, as if she advanced to the finals, it would have been an all shootout for #1 against her and Aryna. But now Sabalenka is in a great position to hold on to that ranking for a long time, as the Belarusian doesn't have hardly many points to defend for the next few months, while Iga has to defend her titles at Doha, Indian Wells, also all the clay titles in Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros. She very well could make up those points and defend them as well, but I feel like it's still going to be a tough task to overcome Sabalenka unless Aryna, knock on wood, has some type of injury or something. Also, Sabalenka missed Wimbledon too, so she has even more points to make up and gain a potential further lead over Swiatek. We were again 1 point away from a Sabalenka final. The closest we came, it was actually Sabalenka's fault we didn't get it. The 2023 Roland Garros semifinals, where Sabalenka fumbled a match point and a 5-2 lead in the third set against Karolina Muchova. Will we ever get the Sabalenka final? I think we will. Maybe Roland Garros, that might be our best bet, but you never know. It just might not be in the cards for us. And I think the big elephant in the room was Keys presented a much different, tougher task than what Iga saw throughout this entire tournament. As I mentioned, Iga was hardly tested throughout this event, and her toughest opponent, even though it didn't reflect scoreline-wise, was probably Emma Navarro, the 8th seed. The games were a lot tighter than what the scoreline entailed, but still Navarro does not have the same power that Keys has, the ability to take the racket out of opponents' hands like Maddie does, and that just, it was hard for Iga, I feel. She didn't have that same type of look throughout this event. And people were saying, oh, Iga's draw is so easy, but perhaps Iga's easier draw hurt her in these tighter moments, and she wasn't able to withstand Keys' power. But still, all in all, it was a great month from Swiatek. She finished runner-up at the United Cup, and then she made the Australian Open semifinals. Really, so many people would be very, very happy with that, but knowing the champion that Iga is, she's going to be still very devastated, of course, with how the result ended in coming within a point of victory. Really, 1 point could have changed it all, even aside from that ultimate match point. But again, full credit has got to be given to Madison Keys for an unbelievable victory. It's not an exaggeration when I say that this is one of the most impressive victories I've witnessed in tennis, period. Being transparent, I was so close to turning off the match and going straight to bed because I was running off of a full day of no sleep, and I just thought that Iga would run away with it, especially going up 5-2. I thought, oh, it's just not going to be Keys' day. She had played a lot of tennis, and I don't think she really has what it takes. It's been a minute since she made a Slam semifinal, so Iga's just going to be too tough for her. But I'm so glad that I stayed up to watch because, again, it's just one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. The quality of play was there, especially in the decider set. The drama was at a 10. There were so many momentum shifts. It really, watching that match took years off of me. I no lie. And this auntie right here was literally me watching this match. It was so insane and stressful. I thought Maddie was down and out countless times throughout this match, especially when she broke her at 6-5, 4-6-5. I thought that was a wrap. But even after Keys broke to bring it to a tiebreaker, I was like 80% sure that Swiatek would still win because Iga just has more experience, more recent experience in this bigger level. And we all know what a fighter Iga is. But I, again, simply underestimated the fight of Keys. And I should have known that she was a fighter by how well she's overcome and recovered past all the adversity she's faced throughout her career, namely injuries, especially at Wimbledon last year, where she was up against Paolini, I believe 5-2 in the third set, but she suffered an untimely hamstring or leg injury and was forced to pull the plug. I think that was a huge missed opportunity for her to win that tournament. She also has scar tissue from a close semifinal loss from the U.S. Open in 2023, where she led Aryna Sabalenka 6-love, 5-3, and she lost in a 10-point tiebreaker. And for her to put that past her and come out on top against one of the sport's best, like, there are no words. Again, no words to describe the fighter she is. And I'm glad she was able to have a little bit of a redemption moment here, because I think that was probably the biggest win of her career, period. But in order for Keys to get proper revenge, she'll have to beat Aryna in this Australian Open final, which admittedly will be a tough, tall ask. Sabalenka looked scary good in her semifinal rout over best friend Paula Badosa, winning it 6-4, 6-2. And this was the best match that Sabalenka has played in this tournament for sure. She made 63% of her first serves and won 77% of her first serve points and 61% of second serve points. And she just got better as the match wore on, and she finished with 32 winners to just 21 unforced errors. Looking at this Keys-Sabalenka match, Sabalenka leads the head-to-head 4-1, and Keys' only win came about 3-4 years ago at the Berlin second round, and that was in 3 sets. The U.S. Open semifinals was the last meeting between these two, and I strongly encourage y'all to go back and watch this match after you watch this video, of course, because it was one of the best matches of 2023 by far. I know everybody wanted a Sabalenka final, but I truly believe this one is guaranteed to be a good one, judging from that U.S. Open semifinal. And while, again, I know Keys will be a massive underdog or a decent underdog in this one, I believe she has a big chance here to take the win. For one, I don't think Maddie will be overpowered by Sabalenka's power at all, like other opponents might have. In fact, I believe that she might overpower Aryna. From rewatching their U.S. Open 2023 match, Keys' power often made Sabalenka panic because she just could not control things herself. And it's why the bigger hitters like Towson and Pavlyuchenkova of this tournament troubled her the most. Aryna struggles with power players quite often too, but she's able to come out on top against them because she's often steadier than them in the tight moments. It's why she beat Keys at the U.S. Open. Maddie just needs to control it well like she did against Iga in the semifinal for sure. Keys also needs to attack the second serve of Aryna's relentlessly like she did against Swiatek, and I think she has a good opportunity to do so since Sabalenka has not been going up and after her serve quite as big this tournament. Also, I think Keys might have an edge in having less pressure and expectation on her. Of course, the big story will be Sabalenka and her being able to accomplish the three-peat, which hasn't been done since 25 years since Martina Hingis did it. Unlike the 2017 U.S. Open final, where probably Maddie was maybe a slight favorite, Maddie's not going to have the expectation of actually winning this one, which might help her play more freely and overall better than she did about 7 years ago. Keys will also be adequately battle tested for this match. Not saying that Sabalenka won't, but Maddie, I think, will be even more so. Of course, from this epic semifinal, I think coming so close to defeat from that will breathe new second life into Maddie, and I think she'll have a greater appreciation for even being able to play the final, seeing that she was match point down. Keys is also very high on confidence as she beat 4 top 10 players in 2025 alone, and the year just started. And I also think Keys will be better tested for the bigger pressure moments than she was back in 2023. She's made key changes. First, of course, her racket, giving her more control, and then also her serve. That'll help her too in making sure she's not as double fault prone. And then also, Maddie has her husband and coach Bjorn Fratangelo by her side in the coaching pods. Bjorn has been huge for Maddie throughout this tournament and coaching her from the sides and the coaching pods and helping her navigate the tough moments throughout the match. I think that right there might be the biggest outlier in helping her get over the edge and not succumb mentally in the tight moments. And then looking at Sabalenka, one of the biggest edges for her is that she's spent considerably less time on court recently compared to Maddie. Even aside from her playing 2 hours less in this tournament, Maddie won Adelaide the week before this tournament started, right before the Australian Open. And then she had that long semifinal too. Also, Sabalenka will have more recent experience of playing in a slam final, which simply cannot be replicated. Maddie played an awesome semifinal, but her last semifinal, the 2017 U.S. Open, she also played a great semifinal there too, but she notoriously played pretty poorly in that one. The question here is, will she have a level dip as well here? I also think it'll be harder for Keys to sustain that same level that we saw from her in the final. It takes a lot for a player to play as well as Madison did throughout that match to bring it in another match, let alone a high-stakes slam final. Keys is going to be playing for slam number 1, and that is going to be a tough task considering how she's approaching 30 years old. She knows that she doesn't have opportunities like that, many opportunities like this coming up in her future. So she's got to seize any chance that she has. I just think the biggest edges lie in Sabalenka's favor for this one, which is the experience in slam finals, being able to navigate the pressure moments, also a potential mental and physical letdown from Keys. So therefore, I'm going to have Sabalenka take this one. I picture a tight 2-set affair with the 7-6, 6-4 scoreline. That's it for this video, and I want to hear your thoughts on that epic Iga Keys semifinal. Will it be match of the year? Let me know. I think it will. Also, do you agree with me having Sabalenka win this final in 2 tight sets, or will Keys take a set and even the entire match? Again, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you know whenever I post my post-match analysis of this final. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.